Hello and welcome to the Awesome 180 channel. I'm Ashton Doctor, your habit coach. And today I want to tell you a story. There's a couple, Jack and Jill, and they seem like the perfect couple. But every now and then they seem to have this breakup fight. And then once in a while they're again back together and all lovey-dovey and everything's perfectly fine. Then how about a daughter and her father? And they love each other tremendously, but every couple of weeks they're not talking to each other. There's one small cold war happening at home. Does this sound familiar? Or how about best friends, Swati and Savitri? And what are they doing? They are together, they are inseparable, but every now and then you see that they are at each other's throats, screaming, shouting, and then again best of friends. I know you would see relationships like this around you, but what I want to say is so many of us are in relationships like this that we don't realize follow this circle of abuse. The most important thing to understand is that in any relationship, we play roles. Role of husband and wife, father and son, but we play other subtle roles as well. In an abusive relationship, there are roles of an abuser and of a victim. Now, neither of these are good or bad. As you're going to see, both can be good, both can be bad. But what's important for us to understand is that we are definitely playing one of these. The abuser is the more dominant one, the one who's more vocal, the one who expresses himself or herself shouting, screaming, using language that is hurtful in nature. The victim, on the other hand, is the one that's constantly trying to keep the peace, the one that feels, oh, poor me, the one who feels that everything's happening towards them. Neither of these relationships are good or bad. We have to understand what is our role in all of this. So the abuse cycle follows these simple principles. It starts off by a tension building phase. The tension building phase is when you're in a relationship and everything now has started to get a little tense. Everyone's walking on eggshells. You're trying to avoid eye contact. You're probably feeling that there is the tension in the air, but you don't know what's going on. It's almost like the calm before a storm. Then once the tension building phase ends, it normally ends with what is called as an inciting incident. Something small takes place and suddenly there's an explosion. All hell breaks loose. Everyone is going bananas. People are screaming at each other and the relationship starts breaking down. Personal attacks are made. Both parties get aggressive. And this is that explosion phase. It's important to also understand the language of abuse. So of course you can curse at someone, but also using words like always, never are abusive words. Because it's not that you've always done this, or you're never like this, or you're always like this, right? These are abusive things because they are abusing you as a person. Now what happens is, typically after that aggression phase, there's something called the honeymoon phase that takes place. And this is when, the abuser and the victim come together and they start talking and saying, why are we doing this? Why are we fighting? We shouldn't be fighting. There's so much love, there's so much respect. Maybe we should not do this anymore. Let's understand about this. And then everything's happy and peaceful. Only waiting till the next time this entire circle repeats itself from that tension building phase to the inciting incident and back to the honeymoon. So, does this look familiar? Are you in relationships that follow this cycle? Has a penny dropped? But how do we get out of this? See, understanding it is one thing, but dealing with it is something completely different. So there are 3 steps to manage abusive relationships. The first is about communication. All relationships thrive on communication. The more you communicate, the better. If you're telling people, I'm feeling like this is how I'm thinking, then the chances of understanding increase. And this is when I want to give my habit coach pro tip. If you get the communication right and start communicating right in the beginning when the tension is building, then you don't necessarily have to go to the explosive phase, because you could diffuse the situation right there and then. You could say, I see that there is tension between us, maybe we should talk about this, and this is how I would like to approach it. And both parties can then work on this together. The second step is figuring out what role we are playing. Are we playing the role of the abuser? Are we playing the role of the victim? Neither is right, neither is wrong. I know cases where the abuser is the sweetest, kindest person on the planet. But the victim plays the role of the victim so much that he constantly feels that he's being victimized. And the abuser, even though has done nothing, suddenly feels like he's the bad person in the relationship. So it's important to figure out where you stand and have these open discussions with the person you're in a relationship with. And like I said, it could be lovers, it could be family members, it could be best friends. All of us could be in this cycle of abusive relationships. The third and final step is that if all else fails, figure out how you can get out of this relationship or distance yourself from this person as much as possible. See, because all these abusive relationships are toxic relationships. They're gonna damage you. And we don't need this kind of drama in our lives. We much rather live with relationships that help us grow, that help us succeed. And that's what I want from you. So your habit for the week is to figure out what is your role in the various relationships that you have. You could be an abuser in one, you could be a victim in another. It doesn't necessarily be that you're the abuser across the board. But what's important to figure out is that which of these relationships are toxic, abusive, and how are we going to deal with them? So this entire week, spend communicating and learning more about this cycle so that you can actually get out of this relationship or cure it. If you know of people who are in toxic relationships, who are in abusive relationships, it's important to share this video with them so that they learn and understand what is going on. Because very often what happens is that this relationship soon starts feeling normal. We fight, then we are okay together, then Cold War, and we're okay together. But the point is that this is not how relationships should be. Healthy relationships are so important because ultimately healthy relationships help us grow. They are the things that help us reach our full potential. And I want you to have as many healthy relationships in your life as possible. If you found this video helpful, remember to hit like, share, and subscribe. Remember to press that little bell icon on the side so you know when new episodes come out. I'm Ashton Doctor, your habit coach, and remember, awesome lives start with awesome habits.